Welcome back to the Turn Up Show with T Made and Friends. Happy MLK Day, and that is one of my favorite MLK songs by Stevie Wonder. Happy birthday. Grew up on that one.
Happy birthday.
Grew up on that one, y'all. That is
I'm still like, that was awesome.
A classic.
That reminds me of being a kid.
Yeah, it does.
It does.
That was so
like
nostalgic.
when you know when Christmas is starting, you get that first
Right.
Isley Brothers or that first,
Right.
you know, it
Yeah.
feels like Christmas. So.
Right, it does.
Yeah,
it
that
does.
song made me want to go get on a tricycle right now.
It does.
Aww.
It just makes you feel excited, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
man.
But
The
speaking
jelly
of,
zone.
but speaking of, look, y'all. But speaking of feeling excited, right now I'm just so excited to have on the line right now a living legend, a civil rights icon. I'll even call him a drum major for the people.
Right.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
this
Without
man
question.
has done just wonderful things, not only for black people, but just for people.
People, period.
Who have been, under circumstance, people who have been downtrodden, and just helping out with people's rights in general. So I'm just very honored to welcome to our show, Atlanta's own.
Atlanta's
Atlanta's own.
ATL.
Congressman John Lewis.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Turn Up Show.
Hello, sir. How you doing,
Congressman
sir?
Lewis?
Being here.
How you doing, sir?
I'm doing very well.
Awesome.
Doing very well. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Thank you for being on our show.
Absolutely. We're
I'm
honored.
just so excited. Right? I don't know what to
Yes.
say.
Like, what do we ask the congressman who's
Right.
done so much
Right.
and paved the way for so many people that don't even understand that? We just want to say thank you, and we appreciate you right now.
Yeah, we really
Most
do.
Well, no, thank you. I just been trying to help out, really. I was greatly influenced and inspired by Martin Luther King Jr. I heard of him in Rosa Parks when I was 15 years old, growing up in rural Alabama, about 50 miles from Montgomery. And Dr. King taught me how to stand up, and speak out. When I was growing up and I would see those signs saying, white men, colored men, white women, colored women, white waiting, colored waiting, I would ask my mother, my father, my grandparents, my great-grandparents. They would say, that's the way it is.
Right.
Don't get in the way, don't get in trouble.
Right.
But Dr. King and others inspired me to get in what I call good trouble.
Good
Right.
job.
Good
There you go.
trouble.
There
Right.
you go.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
So, Congressman, we can ask you a question. What was one of the most valuable lessons that you learned from Dr. Martin Luther King, sir?
Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. taught me the way of peace,
That's right.
the way of love,
Love.
the way of nonviolence. Taught me to never become bitter, to never hate,
Right.
Wow.
but to love.
And that's what we're
And
missing.
be prepared to stand up for what you believe in, and if necessary, be prepared to die for it.
Wow.
Absolutely. Wow.
Now, Congressman Lewis, looking back at that time during your time with Dr. King, did you really have a sense that you all were making history, or were you all just kind of trying to get your rights as human beings, or did you realize that you were really going to make history in America?
Well, at the time of the Montgomery bus boycott, when I was only 15 years old, and I had heard of it, and later when I first met Dr. King and got involved in the sit-ins, at lunch counters, going on the Freedom Ride, I knew we was bringing about change,
Right.
but we weren't thinking about making history.
Right.
We were just trying to help out, just
Wow.
trying to make things better. I didn't like the signs that I saw
Yeah.
saying white men, white women, colored women, white waiting, colored waiting. You go to a movie on a Saturday afternoon, all of us were black children and black students had to go upstairs to the balcony.
Right.
And all of the little white children went downstairs to the first floor. I didn't like it.
Right.
And I wanted to do something about it.
Okay, so what can you like suggest to our young men out here now? What can you suggest to have them stand up? What to help the community? Do you have anything that you maybe could suggest to them, or?
Well, I would say to young men and young women of color, the students, to stay in school and receive the best possible education. And hold on to your dreams. And look what has happened. At one time in my native state of Alabama and other parts of the South, people couldn't register to vote simply because of the color of their skin.
Right.
We have to change that.
Yes.
And young people must understand that the vote is precious. It's almost sacred.
Yes.
It is the most powerful, non-violent instrument or tool we have in a democratic society.
Right.
We have to use it.
Yes, we do.
If someone had told me when I was beaten on that bridge in Selma and almost died, that one day I would live to be elected to the Congress, or live to see an African American become president of the United States, I probably would have said, "Oh, you must be dreaming.
Right.
You don't know what you're talking about."
Right.
But last Tuesday night, when the president finished speaking,
His last State of
he
the
was
Union.
coming out of the Capitol, and he said, "Hello, John Lewis."
Right.
love you.
Right.
And I said,
You
"Mr.
paved the way for our
President, I
first
love you
president,
too."
sir.
Right.
You paved the way
It
for
can
our
only
first
happen
president.
in America.
Yes.
Absolutely.
It could- and you know what, Congressman Lewis, I remember one of his first State of the Unions. He mentioned you in his first State of the Union.
Absolutely.
Actually.
You did.
Yeah. So, I mean, I could tell that you were a big part of inspiring what he has done. And how do you feel about his time as president?
Well, I think
Congressman
he's been
Lewis.
a great president. He has so much to do and so much he tried to undo.
Right.
And there were people that wouldn't cooperate with him, wouldn't support him. And part of it was simple. They didn't like what he was attempting to do. He wanted to make America better. He wanted to make the world better. And that, as you may recall, during one of the State of the Union speeches, maybe he was speaking about health care.
Right.
There was a member from the state of South Carolina said, "You lie."
You're a liar.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I remember that.
And that was so offensive.
Yes, it
You
was.
may not like the man, but you should be able to respect the office and respect the position.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. Now,
I have met with every president since President Kennedy.
Right. Wow.
And President Obama is one of the best, probably the best.
Right.
Definitely.
So human and so real. When he was first inaugurated, asked him to sign his name on a little program, and he said, he wrote on it, "Because of you, John."
Wow.
That's right.
And he teared up, and I teared up.
That
And
is
then when he
amazing.
was inaugurated in 2013, for the second time after winning a second term as president, he said, "It is still because of you, John."
That's right.
Wow.
That's right.
That's true. That's
You
very, very
understand?
true.
You understand? If it hadn't been for the civil rights movement,
Right.
for the voting rights effort,
Right.
that he wouldn't be in the position that he's in. We're going to miss him. We're going to
Yes,
miss
we
him.
are.
Yeah.
Oh,
I already missed
I
it.
already miss him.
Yeah.
Thinking of the
You're right.
repercussions that could have. But we got another question for you, sir.
Absolutely. What now, Congressman Lewis, what do you think is the difference between today's generation and your generation?
Well, we came to know Dr. King. We marched with him. We worked with him. We went to jail with him. When I was in school in Nashville, he said to me when I was only 22 years old, I first met him when I was 18. I wrote him a letter when I was 17. We had leaders like Martin Luther King Jr. and others
Right.
that inspired us.
Okay.
There was a leader from Kentucky,
Right.
the late Whitney Young.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
He was
Yes.
the head of the National Urban League.
Absolutely.
He worked here in Atlanta as the dean of the School of Social Work.
Right.
But there was a whole cadre of people that took us under their wings. A. Philip Randolph, By Rustin, Roy Wilkins, James Farmer, who
The Big Six.
started the Freedom Ride.
Right.
Yeah.
And Roy Wilkins and all these people, they looked out for us.
Right.
Dr. King, for me, became like a big brother.
Right.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, speaking on that, Congressman, how do you feel about the Black Lives Matter movement?
Well, I think Black Lives Matter. I think it's important
Okay.
for young people for young blacks, for young African American, and other young people to find ways to get in the way.
Right.
Does
You
it
see
re- does
something
it-
that is not right, not fair, not just, you have a moral obligation to speak up, to speak out, and do something about it.
Absolutely.
And during the 60s, people told us to wait. Don't go too fast. Don't be too radical.
Right.
But you
Right.
had to do something. So I encourage Black Lives groups to get out there and push. See, many of the young people today, like we were,
Yep.
we were in school, trying to get an education, but we didn't have jobs. We didn't
Right.
have a mortgage,
Right.
No, didn't.
but we were free.
Yeah.
We didn't have children, but we were free to
Right.
get out there
Yeah.
and make some noise.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell young people today, from time to time, I say, we are too quiet.
Right.
Very.
We
Right.
need to make some noise.
Now, do you feel like young people are too quiet? Because I remember you actually were one of the founders of SNCC, and that was a young organization. That was a young organization. So how was it when you all were forming SNCC and you all being young? Did people get behind you, and did you all have that support of the older generation? How was that relationship?
Well, many of the organizations during that period supported us
Okay.
and helped to guide us. And they gave us unbelievable counseling.
Right.
People like Thurgood Marshall, the head of the NACP Legal Defense Fund. There were African-American lawyers, and not just African-American lawyers, but white lawyers
Wow.
and
Yeah.
teachers and others. When we were beaten and left bloody in Montgomery in 1961, the same year that President Obama was born, during the Freedom Ride,
Right.
they came to our rescue.
Wow.
The ministers took us in. People like Reverend Abernathy